It's been the extraordinary accomplishments of Shaun Burgoyne, who notches 400 games. You go back to when he came to Hawthorn, uncertainty around his knee, the deal that almost didn't go through. After a premiership at Port Adelaide in 2004, he was the vice-captain there. 3 more premierships at the Hawks. He will go down as one of the all-time greats. He becomes the 5th player tonight to reach 400 games. Here's a special tribute to a champion.
Number 9, Shaun Burgoyne.
When you first started, you just take it for granted, the opportunity that you're given to be an AFL player, to play each week. As most senior players, if you talk to them, they enjoy and they really savour every moment as you get older, and that's exactly what I do.
Congratulations, you made it.
What a treat it's been to watch this guy's career. Shaun Burgoyne moves in and slots his second of the afternoon.
Remarkable player, unbelievable stoppage player, just had a bit of everything. Tall, strong, quick. You know, he's just a gun and a gun person too.
He got it off to Dure, back to Burgoyne. He blazes away at goal. Will he sneak it in? He does. Wobble, quick out pass away to Burgoyne, and a quick kick on goal. He's drilled it.
How many dudes you know roll like this? How many dudes you know flow like this? Not many, infinity. Not many, infinity. How many dudes you know got the skills to go and rock a show like this? I don't know anybody.
A great footballer, but he's also a great bloke. He loves people, loves the game, loves his teammates. A silky, smooth operator.
37-year-old Shaun Burgoyne. Absolutely living up to his moniker. It's silk from there.
Played footy the right way, the hard way, the tough way, the skillful way, did it all. Joins that very, very illustrious 400 club. He sits beautifully amongst that group.
Burgoyne goes from about 42, and it's another one.
The Hanrahan tried to give him a second chance. It didn't matter because it fell in the hands of Silk Burgoyne. Silk by name, Silk by nature. That's his first.
Burgoyne did the crumbing, snapped it across his body all the way for a goal.
How many dudes you know roll like this? How many dudes you know flow like this?
Burgoyne, the kick was never going to miss.
How many dudes you know got the skills to go and rock a show like this?
A broad smile, the man they call Silk.
Silk was right.
How many dudes you know roll like this? How many dudes you know flow like this?
He would weave through stoppages. He'd get the ball, he'd explode into space, and he'd use it so well.
And pass into Burgoyne on the run, gets to 35 and kicks the goal.
My greatest recollection of the impact that he had was when we were at Port Adelaide. It was a really tight prelim final against St Kilda at Footy Park. Shaun, smothered a ball late in that game, in a game that's decided by a kick. That's at the top of the goal square.
Up towards Gary, Guerra's there, at the back Guerra, the former Port Adelaide player. Brilliant dive by Shaun Burgoyne, over the line. What a magnificent effort by Shaun Burgoyne.
If he doesn't lay that smother, who knows what the result of that game is, and then they go on and win the flag the next week.
Number 8, Shaun Burgoyne.
Over towards Shaun Burgoyne. He'll get free. This will be a goal. Bang! Goal, Shaun Burgoyne.
Off to Burgoyne, dangerous, right forward pocket, 25 out. Burgoyne, what a great goal!
He is a fierce competitor, great durability. What is actually the great beauty of them is just how competitive their will to win and their competitiveness in the contest. That's the great feature of Shaun Burgoyne's play.
This is why they got into the club. They gave up a lot to get Shaun Burgoyne, and the moment has arrived. And he's good to the moment.
I think we've helped Shaun enormously as a footy club, but gee whiz, he's helped us.
Trots over the paint of 50, strikes it beautifully as well. All class is Shaun Burgoyne.
Stolen away by Burgoyne from 55 out, sells some candy, then heads behind with a beautiful solo goal.
Jeez, that was the shimmy there.
Shaun Burgoyne showing his class.
That role model type of sacrifice and humility in a professional game, that's not common. And for him to role model that for the rest of his teammates in our club and the rest of the competition, I think says a lot about Shaun Burgoyne.
How many dudes you know got the skills to go and rock a show like this? I don't know anybody. How many dudes you know roll like this? How many dudes you know flow like this? Not many, infinity. Not many, infinity.
Big moments and big games, big finals and stuff. That's the other one that you associate him with.
Remarkable player, one of the very, very best.
A revered figure in the game, Shaun Burgoyne. He joins our own Boomer Harvey. He joins Michael Tuck. He joins Kevin Bartlett, and he joins Dustin Fletcher.
That
Ramazzo's teammate.
That music was perfect. How many dudes, that roll like this?
Andrea Williamson cut that package. I don't think there is anyone who cuts a better radio package than Andrea Williamson. Absolutely nailed it.
What you have to understand about Shaun is he's played in all 3 areas of the field at an elite level.
That is extremely hard to do. Extremely hard to do. And still now, Hawthorn can use him in all three areas. Now, it might not be at the elite what he was, but he's still playing at a very high standard of football.
Yep.
Football Club are on a mission to end domestic violence against women. Only women, not men, just women.
You have the power to end this.
2 women killed every week.
In Australia, 1 in 3 women have experienced violence.
Now, they're so passionate about this that they are running programs in schools. They're sending in current footballers and ex-footballers to educate young men, and only young men, about the evils of domestic violence. Of course, the mainstream media are all over this, praising Port Adelaide for their classes and their efforts. We're going to have a look at the Port Adelaide Football Club explaining what they're doing, and then we're going to have a look at tonight, doing a story on what Port Adelaide are doing. Let's have a look.
They're waging a powerful war to end violence against women. Here's Pippa Bradshaw's exclusive report.
When it comes to violence against women are alarming. They are sickening.
So there you go. That was Gavin Wanganeen, the 1993 Brownlow medalist. Now, Gavin is of the belief that domestic violence against women is common, and domestic violence against men and violence in general against men is very rare. In fact, it's so rare that the Port Adelaide Football Club is not even going to bother to run these classes for girls. They're only going to run them for boys. So let's have a look at the data. Is what Gavin Wanganeen is saying true? Now, I think Gavin Wanganeen means well. I may be wrong, but I think he has volunteered his time. I don't think he's being paid for these classes. The Port Adelaide Football Club are being paid for these classes, and we're going to have a look at that in a moment. But right now, we're going to have a look at the domestic violence data, the official data from the ABS, not the cherry-picked feminist data that Gavin's looking at. Are women in more danger than men? We're going to have a look at another video I've done in the past where we went through the ABS data. This was on the Nillumbik Shire Council. And we're going to see if what they're saying is correct. Are only women and children victims of family and domestic violence? Are men always the perpetrators? Are women never the perpetrators? Let's have a look at this report. So it starts off with 46% of all children that were murdered by their custodial mother. 29% were killed by their custodial father. 14% were killed by their stepfather. 10% were killed by their non-custodial father. One was killed by their non-custodial mother. And 1 was killed by a custodial parent of an unknown gender. So let's break these stats down. It's not very factual. Now, I'm going to link in the description the data from the ABS, as well as a link to the Nillumbik Shire Council video, as I went through the data in a lot more detail than what I'm going to do in this video. Now, for overall homicide, for every 100,000 men in Australia, 1.2 are murdered every year. 1.2 for every 100,000. Women are 0.7. So for every 100,000 people, 1.2 men are murdered a year and 0.7 women are murdered a year. So if you're a woman, you're far less likely to be murdered. Then you have a look at domestic violence homicide, which is what they're mainly talking about in this video. They're of the belief that when it comes to domestic violence, women are the victims and men are the perpetrators. That's why they're going to educate the boys, because the boys are going to be the future perpetrators and the girls are going to be the future victims. So there's no point educating the future victims on domestic violence. They're only going to educate the boys. So as you can see here, this is coming from the ABS, family domestic homicide. This is women who were murdered by a current or a former intimate partner. For the year, there were 75 females, So 75 females were murdered by a current or a former intimate partner. Now, this is the thing they don't talk about. So Gavin was saying there was one woman a week, which is wrong. It's 75, which is more than one a week. There was also 65 males. So 75 females, 65 males. So what are we doing to stop the murders of the 65 males? Because we're not educating the girls, we're only educating the boys. So we're only worrying about the 75 females, and we're not worrying about the 65 males. Now, when you have a look at children that were murdered last year in Australia, 46% were murdered by their custodial mothers. I'll say that again. 46% of children murdered by their mothers. More children are murdered by their mothers than their fathers. The reason why it's only 46%, that includes children that were murdered by people that weren't the mothers or the fathers. So all these domestic violence programs only look at males and fathers who are perpetrators, and they completely ignore 46% of the murders that are done by the mothers. Now, I think the other very interesting part of this, and we're going to have a look at this now, it's what is the motivation for the Port Adelaide Football Club? Are they just being good Samaritans? Do they really, what's motivating them to do this? So Port Adelaide are not doing this for free. They're receiving money from two sources. I will let the two sources explain to you now how much they're giving, and I might be wrong. There may be more money, but there is at least this much money being paid to the Port Adelaide Football Club to do this. Now, I'm not sure if they're paying people like Gavin Wanganeen and Ebert, but I think there's a bit of profit here for the Port Adelaide Football Club. Let's have a look at the people funding it, and they can tell you exactly how much money they're giving to this football club, who, by the way, turn over millions and millions and millions of dollars every year. They're no charity. Let's have a look.
We've already previously committed financially to this program, but we're delighted to now commit a further $225,000 so that this program can run for the next 3 years. We really recognise the value of a strong AFL club that people look up to, that particularly young people look up to the players and to the club.
We also have committed over the next 4 years $460,000 towards the funding and sponsorship of this program. We need healthy relationships, and I think valuing women and the well-being of women and helping men to have relationships with women that are respectful.
So there you go. This is very lucrative for the Port Adelaide Football Club. This football club that is already turning over tens of millions of dollars every year has received a donation from the Centre Care Catholic Family Services of $460,000. They've also received, which I think is absolutely appalling and disgusting, another $225,000 from the South Australian state government. Now, that's a total of $685,000, which in the grand scheme of the Port Adelaide Football Club isn't a lot of money. It's probably the wages of their star player for about half a year. A lot of these football players can earn up to $1 million a year. They do not need the state government to be donating them money.
You have the power.
There's two possibilities here. Possibility number one is that these footballers are donating their time and they're not being paid. If that's true, this money is being pocketed by the Port Adelaide Football Club. Or the only way this program could cost $685,000 is if these footballers are earning thousands of dollars an hour to sell these feminist lies and these feminist myths to boys only. Only boys. They're not teaching these classes to girls, only to boys.